Biggest thing is that I can think of is taking your education very seriously.
Did you not take your education seriously at one point?
No.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to UpOnIt. I am Charlynn. Thank you so much for joining me again for this week's professional interview series. So I'm really excited about this one. I'm going to be speaking to my friend who has worked in different types of finance, so investment banking, and investment management. And hopefully he'll be able to give you some really good tips. For those of you guys who think you want to be investment bankers, he's going to give you the real. Guys, so I'm here with my friend Les. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and what it is that he's done and is going to do, because I want to get it right. So Leslie, hey.
Hey. Hi guys, so my name's Les and I'm currently in the middle of transitioning from investment banking into investment management.
Now let's talk a little bit about when you were at school. So moving from GCSE, so Leslie and I have known each other for a very long time. Moving from GCSE into A-level, what did you do at A-level and then what did you study at university?
Yeah, sure. So I actually studied physics, maths, computing and IT at A-level, very much with the focus of being an engineer. I'd always wanted to be an engineer my entire life, and everything I did in school and through A-levels was gearing up to do that. And it's a bit of an interesting story if we've got enough time.
It's an interesting story. So Les, can you talk us through your career journey? So you did all these kind of sciencey based subjects when you were in school, and then you ended up in one career, ended up in another career. So can you talk us through what that journey was like for you?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned, I studied A-levels, which led me into mechanical engineering. I actually did my master's in mechanical engineering and absolutely loved it. But life is funny. I landed my first engineering job at Rolls Royce, building jet fighter engines, which was absolutely amazing. But while it was the best thing ever. But while I was there, I developed all these other things which I was interested in as well. And that was the first time I was introduced to the world of finance and business. And so that was the point where I began to make the transition.
And would you say that was an easy transition for you to let go of kind of one thing that you'd had in your mind that you wanted to do and then move into another direction? Because what I like about your story is that it's not direct, it's not one, so it's been a journey.
It was almost accidental actually, because as I mentioned, I'd been focused my entire life on being an engineer, and there are a number of catalysts actually which kind of steered me away from engineering into investment banking. So the first major one was thinking that I wanted to do a PhD, because engineering is 4 years for the most part in the UK, and once I came back to do my 4th year at university, I spent a lot of my time in the business school, realised I had a knack for business type subjects, and it was at that point where I started to learn more and more about kind of business and finance and so on, and so that's the point where I started investigating what other careers there were apart from engineering.
Yeah, and would you say that there were skills that you picked up in engineering that helped you in finance, or not really?
No, without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's very much the same thing in my mind. I always say business is engineering in a different context, right? And it's actually quite common for engineers to move into finance and those types of roles. Exactly, because it requires a very similar skill set. So being analytical, being good with numbers, being quite logical and methodical in your approach to different things. And so yes, there is a lot of crossover in the core skills which are required for both fields.
Okay, like you mentioned, you've had a bit of a career, you've had career changes over the past, 10 years that you've been in the working world. And what do you wish, like I said, I've known Leslie for a long time, and he's changed over He's changed over the past few years. What do you wish you'd known then that you know now about working and about careers, education, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. So the biggest thing that I can think of is taking your education very seriously.
Did you not take your education seriously at one point?
No, it wasn't that. I didn't take it as seriously as I could have. When you move into the very competitive sectors, things like engineering and finance, and I'm sure a lot of the sectors you've interviewed people about in the past, law and everything else, those are very, very competitive, and so your grades are the first filter, if you like. So it's incredibly important at the very earliest stage to make sure you're doing the best you can, and get the grades where they need to be. It just makes the process a lot smoother.
Definitely, I agree with that. Definitely. So you would say to focus on your grades. Anything else? What else do you wish you'd known?
Yeah, so the power of talking to people and getting the perspectives of people who have been there and done it, and that's why I think this channel is great, because it showcases the experiences of those who have been in all these different careers. And so definitely I would have spoken to a lot more people to find out what it was like on the job and not gone on what I thought the job was about.
Yes,
so that's definitely something I probably would have done as well.
Definitely. I think that's a really, really good point. I mean, it's not easy for everybody to talk to as many people as they can, but where you can, do your research so that you know what it is that you're going into. So what's the best part of your work? Now that you're in finance, you've left engineering, what is the best part of your work?
So, there's so many good things about working in finance and in investment banking specifically. But I think one of the best things about what I do is working with real companies, looking at it on a holistic basis. And what I mean by that is being able to take a step back and look at this company to say, what is this company about? What are they doing? How much money are they making? And in cases where they're not doing as well as they could, how could we help them to make more?
So you like the client-facing stuff, you like to see what the problem is and then find a solution?
Absolutely. Yeah. Problem solving.
Yeah, problem solving. Yeah, definitely.
Which is hugely satisfying.
Yeah, definitely.
I told you before, engineering, but...
Yeah, exactly, because those are transferable skills. So the skill to be able to identify a problem and provide a solution, whether that's in maths or engineering or... So this is a question that I used to get a lot of time from students. I'd meet people wanting to go into finance, and everyone thinks they want to be an investment banker. Everyone thinks it's like the Wolf of Wall Street, and everyone's running around and shouting, and they don't realise there are different types of finance and different types of investment. First and foremost, is it like the Wolf of Wall Street? What I want to get people to understand is the differences between investment bank, so what you've done, and then investment management. So can you just break down some of the differences? Because everyone thinks investment banking is one kind of big thing, and no one knows there are little nuances. So it'd be great for you to share with people what are the differences.
Well, I'll try my best. There are many parts of an investment bank, and outside of investment banking into investment management. So I'd say the core constituents of an investment bank are the private side and the public side. So we've mentioned that the public side is more akin towards what you see in Wolf of Wall Street, the sales and trading and so on. And the private side comprises mainly M&A, which I worked in, and capital markets and things like that. And so that's with investment banking. Moving on to investment management, the difference between that and investment banking is that within investment banking you're performing functions or providing services to clients and performing functions on behalf of clients. Whereas in investment management you are doing those same things but as a principal, so you are actually investing money on behalf of them.
Okay, so that's the difference for those of you guys. So actually I think that a lot of people who think they want to be in investment banking probably might be better suited to investment management. Maybe that's what they're thinking of when they think of investment banking actually.
Possibly. Yeah. It's definitely something to look into. However, the traditional route would be to go through an investment bank before going into investment management, but more and more these days people are moving straight into investment management, so yeah, definitely one to look into.
And would you say the most straightforward route is, if you are a graduate, obviously not everyone's going to be a grad, but if you are a grad, would you say internship, grad scheme, that's the easiest route as opposed to maybe doing something else and then going in?
Yeah, sure, that's definitely the tried and tested path. Again, more and more recruiters are being open to different trajectories and different routes and avenues in.
And people would obviously talk about, investment bankers or people working in investment banking get paid quite well, but also they don't talk about the fact that you do work long hours. I know for a fact that you used to work long hours when you were doing certain projects. So I think that's something to be aware of as well, that it is a demanding career.
It is.
And do you think it's sustainable to do it for that long?
I mean, it has to be sustainable because people have been doing it for years and years, but it very much depends on the type of person you are and what you want out of life, and so it depends on what
you've got to find what suits you in your life you want to live. Definitely, that's a really good point. So, so far it sounds like you've stayed on top of things, you've got loads of knowledge about things. What would you say has been your biggest failure to this point in your career or in your education that you learned from? That you learned from?
Yeah, so I certainly had a big one at university, and this is when I still thought I was going to be an engineer. So I think it was around about my second or third year, I had the opportunity to study abroad in the US, and actually had a place at the NASA Langley Center. And all I had to do was just to, pass my exams and do well. Now that semester, I was captain of the ACS football team. I was the sports secretary. I was organising parties. I probably had too many friends.
Just turning up.
I didn't
Instead of turning up to lessons.
I didn't say that. But I was doing too many things at once, and I didn't focus enough on my studies, and my grades slipped a little bit, and so I was actually taken off that particular program. So that was a really big blow. I remember that. And how did you get yourself back up from that? Yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy. To be honest, it was one of those situations where you have to take some time out, reassess, reevaluate where you are, understand what went wrong, and put it right. And in my case, that was knuckling down in the following semester and making sure that I got back on top of things, even more so than previously, just to compensate for the dip. And I was able to do that, and that's how I landed Rolls Royce.
Okay, so who would you say models success for you? Because obviously you're in these very demanding, very kind of high-flying sectors. Who would you say models success for you?
Yeah, so I think there's different types of success, and certainly in terms of career success, somebody I always look to is a gentleman called Robert F. Smith, who used to be an engineer, then went into investment banking, and now runs his own private equity firm. So I suggest you look him up if you get a chance. So he, to me, models the successful career path, and because I can identify with the trajectory, that's somebody that I look to say, he's doing it, I can do it too, even to this day. So,
fantastic. So guys, if you don't know, if you're interested in this sector and you don't know who that is, maybe give it a Google. What would you say the top tips are?
Sure, so my top tip would be to apply yourself wherever you are, in whatever you're doing, to put your best foot forward, especially in your academics and your grades. I think we touched on that previously. The second thing I'd say would be to speak with as many people in the industry that you're interested in as possible. You know, there are a lot of schemes that run, there are a lot of recruitment events where investment bankers or investment professionals do turn up to campus and to schools and different initiatives, and those opportunities are there, so do make you best use of them. Fantastic. And the third tip I'd say would be to try and differentiate yourself. Think about what your passions are, and there's nothing worse than speaking in an interview and it being long and dry and just exactly. So be yourself, love the things that you really pursue the passions that you have outside of your chosen career path, because it does set you apart. It gives you something else to talk about during the interviews, and just be really personable and make sure that you're being authentic, I'd say.
Authentic, bring your whole self to that, as they like to say. Fantastic. You wouldn't, say that it's a career to pursue just because you can get loads of money? It's the point.
It's with all of these types of professions, if you work hard, if you apply yourself, and if you do a good job, then you will be remunerated well. But I'd say money's definitely not the main reason to get into it.
Definitely. And I know that sometimes when people are looking at grad schemes, they kind of look at who's going to pay me the most salary in the beginning, but really look at it holistically. What kind of environment do you want to be in? Do you want to be in? Don't just look at the paycheck.
Do you want to work in the Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah. And actually, I don't think a lot of people probably don't want to. It just looks fun, but I don't think people actually do.
No.
Fantastic. Guys, so that was my friend Les. Thank you so much for being on my channel and for sharing your knowledge and your tips with the people, breaking down some myths there, giving some tips. So hopefully you guys got some really good information out of that. You can tell through all my other interviews, and also with this interview, it wasn't always a straightforward path.
It wasn't.
It wasn't, but all things work together, so there we go.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you comment, like, subscribe. Follow me on all my social media pages. Everything is at Stayinguponit on Instagram, which is where I usually am, Facebook and Twitter. And make sure you share with anyone you know that's interested in finance. And I will see you soon for the next episode of the Professional Interview Series. Bye, guys.